As a leader, what's your most precious, absolutely non-renewable resource? It's your time, right? The only way we can actually scale our impact is by getting really, really good at delegation. But how do you do that without constantly worrying about quality or, things going off the rails? Well, that's what we're diving into. We're going to look at a framework for turning delegation from a risk into your single best strategy for growing your people and getting huge results. And it all starts with one non-negotiable foundation: accountability. But look, let's just be real for a second. When you think about handing off that super important project, what are the yeah buts that immediately pop into your head? You know the ones. Yeah, but it's just faster if I do it myself. Or, yeah, but what if they drop the ball? The stakes are too high. We all have them, and just admitting that, that's the first step. And this really gets to the heart of it. This is the core tension. See, without the right foundation in place, delegation is just abdication. It's a risky handoff where you're just hoping for the best. But, and this is the big but, when we build that foundation, it completely transforms into a powerful strategy for development. It builds capacity, it builds confidence, and frankly, it builds our future leaders. So how do we get there? How do we build that deep trust that's required for delegation that actually develops people? We start by building block by block a culture of accountability. And I know, it sounds like a buzzword, but it's not. It is the absolute bedrock principle that makes strategic delegation not just possible, but safe. So let's get super clear on what we mean when we say accountability. It's not just about, hitting a deadline. The magic in this definition is right here, to the expectations of those relying on us. See how that shifts things? It moves the goalpost from one person's private idea of done to a collective, shared understanding of what success actually looks like. That's the thing that turns good intentions into reliable, predictable execution. Okay, so how do we build it? We focus on 4 pillars. It's that simple. First up is clarity, because as we all know, being clear is being kind. Ambiguity is cruel. Then, specificity. We have to define exactly what a win looks like. Third, ownership, making it crystal clear who is responsible, no fuzzy lines. And finally, publicity, making those commitments visible to the whole team. When everyone knows who's doing what, things get done. Now, to make that ownership pillar really practical, we need a tool, a simple tool to kill any confusion. And that tool is the MOCA model. For any project, any initiative, you explicitly define these roles. Who's the manager, clearing the way? Who is the single owner, the one person responsible for the outcome? Who are the consultants and helpers we can lean on? And who is the final approver? When you do this, all the guesswork just vanishes. You get absolute clarity on who does what. No more confusion. It's a game changer. So once you have that foundation of accountability, once it's solid, the whole game changes. Delegation stops being just a tactic to manage your crazy workload. It becomes a core strategy for building up your people and honestly, for building a much more capable, resilient organization. And understanding this difference is just absolutely crucial. So let's be blunt. Delegation is giving someone the authority to run with something. It is defining the what and the why and then giving them a real challenge. What it is not abdicating your own responsibility. It's not just barking orders, and it's definitely not just handing off the boring, easy stuff you don't want to do. A culture of accountability isn't something you build once and then, walk away from. It needs to be maintained. And the engine that keeps it running is consistent, structured communication. So let's look at 2 really simple frameworks that will make sure these critical conversations actually happen and happen well.
You gotta love Mark Twain. He was so right. We just can't shy away from the conversations that need to happen, especially when accountability is on the line. These next 2 frameworks are all about eating that frog, tackling those conversations head on. All right, for your regular check-ins, the Glow, Grit, Go model is just fantastic. It's so collaborative. You start with the glow. What's working? What's shining? Then you move to grit. Where's the challenge? Where's the real opportunity for growth? And you finish with go. What's the next move? You're empowering them to own their next steps. It's awesome. But what about when a commitment is missed? That's when we eat the frog. Now, this isn't about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's a framework for compassionate, productive course correction. You frame the issue with facts. You reflect on your own assumptions. You open up space for a real dialogue to understand their side. And then you guide the conversation toward a mutual outcome. It turns a potential failure into a powerful moment of learning. So why are we doing all this? Is it worth the effort? Well, the data is just undeniable.
Teams that have these kinds of regular check-ins see a 77% boost in engagement. And get this, a 67% decrease in voluntary turnover. So these conversations, they aren't a nice to have. They are a critical driver of your team's performance and their loyalty. Okay, so here it is. Here's your call to action. I want you to think right now, what is one meaningful task you can delegate before the end of this week? And not just to get it off your plate. Delegate it as a deliberate act of development for someone on your team. Do the work, define the MOCA, set those crystal clear expectations, and get that first check-in on the calendar. That's how this whole thing stops being just an idea and becomes your new reality.